Now the car has a ton of trick bits on it, and I wanted to showcase that for you guys and do an in-depth video breaking down every little aspect that made this car 101. The last video was just to show off the wrap. This is to show off all the custom work that was done on it, just like this very toe hook that you'll see very soon. So these are the fronts, but these are the rears. The rear right there. He already took one of those. He's gonna give me an estimate right now for how much to mount these. Supposedly super cheap, but my worry is I don't want them to scratch up any of these rims. So what I'm gonna do quickly right now is show off that there's no scratches on a single one of these rims, and he just took a wheel over there. Both of the rears have this plastic over it to protect the lip. They're almost ready for it to be lipped. I'm gonna pick it up in a bit. They're officially mounted. I can't wait to test these shits on the Mustang. The way that it's like meaty tire setup looks so good on these, and the lip is like ridiculous. Now that we have the tires home, we're gonna be quickly mounting these onto the car, and you guys are gonna get a look for how wide it is in the rear, and then what the front look like. I do need to run a spacer on the front. If you guys are new, I need to run a 2-inch spacer on the fronts. The only reason for why I did that is because I don't want to run an insanely wide tire for clearancing reasons.
Yeah. Gotta lay down when you make bed. Gotta let some tears just shed.
Okay, so this is what it looks like. It looks a little goofy for a couple of reasons. The height from when I was driving last year was really high in the front, and I haven't changed that yet. So I need to drop it down. So the front, I didn't want to be lip to fender because I need turning radius. So that fitment's gonna be better once it's lower. The rear looks ridiculous. My fender's right there. It would catch and rub. Don't worry, we are cutting it up to here for the Widebody kit. That wheel is absolutely ridiculous, and I'll show you what it looks like once we put up the kit next to it. So that is what it would look like in the rear. I'm using the gas cab to be able to hold up this fender because it's not actually mounted. But you get the idea. The fender to lip is pretty much almost there. It's gonna get lowered a little bit, and I didn't want it to rub, but I wanted it to be as close as possible. Today we're gonna be swapping out the tips of these exhausts, and it's completely straight rear axle back system without any sort of cats or mufflers. But what I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be switching out these tips. With the Widebody kit, that's gonna make everything wider, and my rear diffuser, that's gonna be significantly larger. These don't quite work with what the Vision's gonna look like. These will though. These are gonna be insanely cool looking blast pipes that come out of the rear. What we're gonna do is we're gonna mount them up, we're gonna cut, and we're gonna make it come out a little bit of an angle. We mocked up the rear bumper and it definitely fits. We have it marked on this side as well as this side over here. Pretty much he's gonna start making the cuts, and then we're gonna start welding it together.
We blew up and got green. I gotta leave some of y'all on red. Yeah, 4 gunshot, man, I did.
It goes over. No, it doesn't. It's supposed to. Let me just hammer in all the sides so we can flip that over so when I weld it.
I gotta leave some of y'all on red. Yeah, 4 gunshot, man, I did. Might put some dollar on the head.
Just grab a bumper. Let's get it mocked up. I want to make sure it fits though before we. Yeah, I just wanted to straighten it out. Nice. Can you help guide me? Or film? Oh, it's clear. Bro, yeah. It's clear. We're 100% Gucci. Oh, that is so good. Dude.
Yeah, 4 gunshot, man, I did. Might put some dollar on the head. Or just turn up the place instead.
Tap on the exhaust real quick. I have something here. How many RPM? Like 4. You guys kind of can get a feel for how wide it's going to be from up here, but oh my goodness gracious. What's the difference of how far they go out? That versus that. It's going to look so fucking good with our rear diffuser too. I can't wait to hear this thing drive by. It's going to sound ridiculous. And I got to show off the welds. Surprisingly, pretty fucking, let me focus on it, pretty fucking decent welds. I haven't welded since high school, and I've only been welding for this project, and I feel like every time I do it, I get better, so it makes me so happy to see. There. And it's like a finger gap.
Yeah, how many summers did I run? Like 10. I will watch fish just like them. I
welded this one on now as well, but both of them are fully welded. I'm gonna remove the broom that we're using. But if you look at it, left and right, neither one of them are further out than another. the point in which it hangs down right there is the exact same point where it lines up right here. Looks super good. What we're gonna do is we're mount up the rear bumper just to see generally how far it hangs out and how good it'll look. I didn't realize these mufflers or the tips actually had resonators in them, so I'm excited to see what it is. Straight pipe, quite literally straight pipe. Underneath the car right now, I have a custom one-of-one metal diffuser that's meant for this car. It is going to look absolutely crazy. It was also the same person that made my metal diffuser on my Miata. There's a lot of things in which I love about this diffuser, which I carried over to the Aspects. The way that it would hang over on the right-hand side and go on out, and the section that comes up in the middle. And I wanted my cars to look alike, but also a little bit different. This one doesn't have that second row. It just has bigger fins. This entire thing is going to get mounted together, mounted up. And the crazy part about it is this is custom for the Widebody. So where that fin goes up is going to line up with the rear of that Widebody kit. Now, originally it comes with these spacers, which means that this was going to hang lower. And my car is already really low, and I don't want to deal with absolutely destroying my brand new diffuser. So what I have done is I have made a custom L bracket that goes to the corner up over there, and the center right now is only being held up by the jack, but you guys will be able to see what the rear is going to look like. It looks absolutely insane. I'm so excited to mount this up and actually see what it looks like once and for all. This mic probably needs to go a little bit higher. Yeah, that looks pretty good. The more higher up I go in the center, the more it bows down on the side. So I might lower this a little bit, but you guys get the idea of what it'll look like. This took a lot of work, and I kind of just had to do it on my own for a little bit. It's mounted back there, and then 2 points in the middle, actually, where my old diffuser was mounted up. I think it looks really good. It is slightly uneven, which I am gonna wanna fix. It's tighter up there than it is over here, so I might loosen down that side, tighten up that side, but you guys get the gist of it. I'm gonna quickly wrap all this up, go to sleep, and then we're gonna try to finish up the rest of this car for the show tomorrow. I do not have much time, but we're gonna do what we can. You guys were watching, I have a clip of me towing the Miata, but as I was towing the Miata, I realized that I don't have tow hooks like most Miatas do. Most Miatas have a tow hook right about here and 2 right there. They kind of look like teeth. I don't have either one of those tow hooks. I also realized on the Mustang, I don't have a tow hook either. And there is a crash support that hangs up on the top of the bumper, but the bottom of it is exposed down here. And what I'm thinking is for this to be placed somewhere like this, hanging out. I have bolts as well as some washers to make this happen. I officially have drilled out the hole I'll be using for the tow hook. Time to install it. I'll thread this on the front of it so that when I thread it back, it'll actually mount towards the front. I can't do this after the fact of, so I gotta quickly thread this down.
They make lyrics for who? Men. We make y'all come, then come again.
That's it. If you guys want to know how to make a custom tow hook, there we go. This is custom, fully mounted. It's through the crash bar support through the back. It's through one of the original 4 mounting holes. All I did was bore it out a little bit more. It has a blocking metal plate in the back that has a widened back with an extra strong reinforced ring. And it is in neutral. I would call that pretty good for a fucking tow hook. I test fitted it onto the front bumper, and this isn't even clipped in up over there at all. This is just loosely hanging on the front support, but it is able to clearly clear the front bumper. And with this mounted up even further, it'll give us plenty of room to be able to get a tow hook up on there. Super happy with how that came out. Okay, so right now what I'm doing is I'm cutting my fender to clearance for the kit and for the new wheels. There's a inner part of the fender and there's an outer part. And right now I'm only gonna cut the outer part, reveal what I can of the inner part. I'm gonna try to fold or make relief cuts in the inner part to bend to the outer part. I'm gonna be cutting it along here, going to pretty much right about here. and then starting it again on the inside, folding out the inside as much as possible, trying to keep as much as I can on it. I haven't used a welder since high school, but today we're opening it up and we're going to be using it on here. What I'm going to be doing is doing some tack welds to be able to hold in the inner fender liner to the outer one. And all I'm going to be doing, I know this is very boogery, but I haven't done it since high school. I'm excited to actually get good at this. Okay, so I welded half of it and I painted over it just to make sure there wasn't going to rust over. The paint and the grinder made up for the welder. I am not. But pretty much what I did is I just laid down a couple beads, tacked it in place, and then try to connect it as much as possible. There are some parts where it just, because of the metal and the way that it was warped, it just kind of warped away from it. So there's a little bits of holes. It's better than having to bend up the metal and then riv nutting it in up here. That's what a lot of people do, especially with aluminum cards. You can't really weld them. This one, I was okay with just tacking them and then making sure. I'm very confident that that's going to hold, regardless whether or not it's beautiful. And then I'm going to flex seal and then fill that up with some sort of preventative rust layer.
Gotta lay down when you make bed. Gotta let some tears just shed.
Okay, so it is officially all done. It's not perfect, and I'm going to be using Flex Seal tape to get around. I sprayed bed liner throughout the back of the actual area back here just to protect and seal off everything. The true moment, the true test is when I put this on. Last time when I put this wheel on, it rubbed and touched, the fender touched the top of this wheel. Now when I put it on, I hope it doesn't touch. We're about to find out and see. The official moment of truth is when I let this down. If it touches at all, oh my goodness, we actually have clearance on this side. This is gonna look so good. I'm gonna quickly, now with all the new rivets and everything else I've done on this side, I'm gonna quickly throw on the kit just so I can kind of see and imagine what this rear section is gonna look like. It's gonna look ridiculous. So I got some strong rubberized waterproof tape, and I'm gonna be using it along the outside of this just to prevent any sort of moisture or anything getting inside of the actual arch itself. Some people will literally just hold it together just using this. I don't trust that. I'm happy I welded it underneath it, but it is actually going to be waterproof 100%, and I think it's actually going to work pretty excited.
Gotta let some tears just shed. Since we blew up and got green, I gotta leave some of y'all on red.